So we are back again with another book from the Booker 2021 Longlist. This list just is my life at this point. Hi, my name is Sarah Freshley and welcome back to Freshly Read Books. So today we are talking about A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson. This was a good book. I think that most people will enjoy reading this one. I agree with another reviewer that does the Booker lists, the Bob Sphere. If you haven't seen his channel, definitely check it out. But he's already done a review on this book, and I agree with him when he says that this feels like a book club book. This is definitely like a book club book. You could imagine reading this and then talking to other people about it. It's very story-based. It's easy to read through, but is it a Booker book? I don't think so. Like, it's good, but like, does it belong here? Is it doing anything particularly special that makes it stand out? I don't think so, unfortunately. That being said, thoroughly enjoyed myself reading it. This one is not going to be broken down into themes because I don't really feel like, not that there aren't any, but just that I don't think that there's any theme that's large enough running throughout it to warrant like diving into that. This book is very much like, it is what it is. And I don't think there's a lot to like break down or dig into about this book. It is. So the synopsis. This book is from 3 different perspectives. So first up, we have Clara, who is a young girl. She's a little bit peculiar, maybe. She's not a super sociable child, but she's got a lot going on in her life right now because her sister has just gone missing. Her parents are obviously very upset about this and struggling with this. And so she's not really getting the attention of them. And also she's missing her sister. And then at the same time, she has a neighbor, Mrs. Orchard, or Elizabeth Orchard, who she refers to as Mrs. Orchard, who has just left her house to go to the hospital and has asked Clara to keep an eye on the house and, more importantly, to feed her cat, Moses, I believe his name was. And that's one of our other perspectives, is Mrs. Orchard. I should call her Elizabeth. I keep calling her Mrs. Orchard because I think of Clara's perspective in this book before I think of anybody else's, really. So Mrs. Orchard is an elderly woman who is living alone with her cat, and she needs to go to the hospital, and she thinks she might be there for like a week or 2 and then would be coming home. And so she asks Clara to watch her house. While Clara is watching the house, she sees a man, Liam, come into the house with like boxes, and she gets very confused because she's supposed to be watching this house, and now there's this man she's never seen before that's in it. Liam is our third perspective, and he actually knew Mrs. Orchard when he was very young in a different town. Mrs. Orchard looked after him a lot. He had many siblings, and his mom was, I believe she had twin girls, another girl, and then Liam, and then another set of twin girls or something. But during the time that she was living near Mr. and Mrs. Orchard, she had the second set of twins, and so Liam was staying with the Orchards a lot, and Elizabeth, Mrs. Orchard, grew very attached to him, and even her husband did as well. They were very close for the short amount of time that they were together. And so we've got these 3 perspectives that play together very nicely throughout the book. I think that the perspective I enjoyed most was actually Mrs. Orchard. Her perspective is through like the guise of her talking to her husband, her dead husband. And so I thought that that was an interesting take to do for her. And also her story, while separated from the others, is kind of sweet. And I don't know, that felt the most like heartwarming, I guess, or like I was the most emotionally invested in what was going on with her, and also in learning about her past with Liam, which is the information that we got from her side of the story. We didn't really get that from Liam because he was so young when that did happen. So I think that was probably the part that I was most interested in, although I did find Clara's story interesting as well, and this search for her sister Rose. But like I said, I just don't feel like this story did anything different or special, or like if this was a book club book and I read it, I would be perfectly happy talking about it, talking about how the events unfolded. This book can definitely be spoiled, so I'm not going to touch any of those. And I think that it would be fun to like talk through that part and to talk about what you expected to happen versus what actually happened and who your favorite characters were and all that. But as far as diving into any like greater meaning behind it or anything along those lines, I just don't really think that there's that much to get into. It's a very surface level book. Like, there are definitely emotions involved, and I had an emotional time reading some parts. But for me, I think that I will likely soon forget this book because there was nothing that really like cemented it in my mind. So with that being said, Do the Frog and I recommend this book. It's okay. It's all right. They can't all be winners. So yeah, no ribbit from the frog, which of course means that I don't recommend reading this book. And that's not to say anything negative about it. Like I said, I enjoyed this book enough. If you read the synopsis and you think, that sounds interesting to me, you'll probably enjoy yourself reading this book. But because it's not doing anything special, I don't feel the need to like recommend this book and be like, you should read this, because I think that a lot of other books are doing very similar things. And now I've kind of taken to doing this thing where if I don't recommend a book, or if I'm a little bit on the fence about it, sometimes I will recommend a different book to read, or just a book that I think is doing similar things, but maybe that is doing them a little bit better. And for this one, I think I'd have to say Britt-Marie Was Here by Fredrik Backman. This also takes place in a small town and is a very like cute, heartwarming, emotional read. His writing style is very different, and I think that Fredrik Backman in general, he's got a very distinct writing style that I think can be off-putting to some people, but most people probably find it more comforting than off-putting. I don't think that he would ever be like longlisted for the Booker Prize. No offense to him. I've read all of his books. I clearly like him as an author. But it's not like in that vein of literary fiction, but it like tugs at your heartstrings. It's very quotable, and it's a different and unique reading experience reading his books, which is why I do recommend him. I think Britt-Marie Was Here is a great book that is quite similar to what this book is doing. Like, there's a little bit of intrigue, there's a little bit of mystery, there's small town relationships coming together. There's Britt-Marie, who's coming from a completely different area and is like not quite sure how she's gonna like this town, which is very similar to Liam in A Town Called Solace. So there's a lot of similarities. It's just written in a very different way. And so I think that it is bringing something that's new and unique, at least to Fredrik Backman, that makes it more recommendable to me, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's really it for this one. Super easy read, super easy to review. But I hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!